feels like it's been ages since we've been able to chat with you. In fact, I don't know if we have, other than our flower episodes, I don't know if we have actually had a dedicated chat with you this year.
No, we definitely. Oh, I'm sure we have.
We
We
recorded one.
recorded we recorded an episode last month, which would have been March, but I was too busy. It was my turn to edit, and I was too busy to edit. So maybe that can be a bonus episode further down
Well,
the
we were,
line.
we were, we were both too busy to edit, so neither of us were able to. So it wasn't just us.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe that episode is lost forever, or maybe I'll pull my finger out at some point and we can share that with you. But I think it was quite a seasonal episode, so it would feel off, I guess, to share it now because things have been moving quite fast. I think for both of us, like we've had lots on our plate. I've definitely been burning the candle at both ends.
Mm, yeah. And as much as we love to do this podcast and to chat with you all and to research all of the fun floral facts and tidbits, it's a labor of love. That's not a money thing. So it's not something that we can do as often as we would like to.
Yeah.
And
Oh my gosh, I wish we could do this every week.
oh, me too. I would be so okay with that. That would be amazing. And especially because we do have so many ideas. I genuinely think we could do a weekly episode and make it pretty special because we have so many ideas. And every time we do an episode, we just get new ideas. So
Yeah.
the big folder of shiny ideas just keeps growing. But we did mention in our previous episode, which Sarah led on bluebells. If you haven't yet listened, please do yourself a favor and go and have a listen to that one. But we did talk about the potential for having some sponsorship from you guys, or whether or not we would start introducing ads to the podcast, or if you would prefer we kept it ad free and you might be interested in maybe looking at some form of subscription, either through Patreon or Substack. But we'd love to hear from you what you might want to support and what feels right for you. We would just love to start that conversation. But I'm more interested now in knowing what you've been working on lately, Sarah.
So the big thing is I'm moving studios, which is why it maybe still sounds a little bit echoey. So for the last 4 or 5 years, I think 5 years, how long have I been running my business? I don't know. But I've been using my spare room in the flat that I'm in, and I'm in a tenement, so I'm 2 floors up, and it's been hard work, and I'd kind of gotten, to be honest, I outgrew this space maybe 2 years ago. Like I've had some really big jobs on, and I've had to store flowers in the bathroom, in the kitchen. There was one time where it took over the lounge as well, and
Oh.
it is, yeah, like it's just been, yeah, I just outgrew the space. But it was a bit of a whim to get the studio that I'm now moving into. I had thought I would just try and stick out being in my spare room until the end of the year, and then perhaps maybe at the start of next year looking actively for a space. But this one popped up. It's just around the corner from where I live, and so I just had to go for it. But it means I didn't have much of a budget to kit it out. So I've been trying to do everything on the cheap, and still make it look nice because I know you're probably the same, Keeley, that I just want to be in spaces that are beautiful and I find it more inspiring. And I really hate when places aren't efficient as well. So trying to find the balance of it being efficient and beautiful. And I want to be able to, easily reach my scissors and easily pull out all the materials that I need without tripping over stuff. Me and lots of friends painted it basically. I have been really overwhelmed with how many people have supported me. Like, I just have the most gorgeous community in Glasgow. Actually, outside of Glasgow as well. So I started painting it, the space, a few weeks ago. And one of my friends who's just outside of Glasgow, one of my friends, Emily, who we run networking events together along with Rhiannon. So if anyone's in Glasgow and wants to check them out, it's called Small Biz Big Chat. Anyway, Emily came up to spend a morning with me painting, and then one of my friends who was a painter decorator, she came in and gave me a quick demo on how I'm actually meant to paint. And then Scott came and helped, and I've had like various friends come and paint and give me moral support. And then turned out to be the wrong color.
So
Yeah.
devastating after all of that.
I was gutted. And so I basically was running out of time because I was having furniture delivered and I've got workshops and a wedding coming up. And I was just like, I need the space sorted. On the day I thought it was done, I cried all the way to B&Q and bought more paint. And so it was an extra expense, which I hadn't factored in, but it is now the right colour. I had a big dresser delivered last week. I've had new workbenches delivered. Well, new to me, I managed to get some secondhand workbenches. Well, over the weekend, I packed up the spare room studio, moved everything over, and then this week I've been unpacking and like the dress is so old and a bit gross inside. So I've been wrapping all the drawers in vinyl. Yeah, and just like all the boring stuff that you kind of have to do to get a space looking nice this afternoon and tomorrow, and then it should be done, hopefully.
Honestly, it's amazing though. From what I've seen, I think it's just so beautiful and already has so much atmosphere and charm and very much feels like Rook Botanics already. And it's just incredible. I love that you've been able to pull it together by scrimping and
Yeah.
just finding your way through, Marketplace or Gumtree and dealing with horrible people on the internet.
Oh,
I think
so
you've done
many rude
amazing.
people.
So
Yeah.
many, yeah, you're opening yourself up to a world of crazy there, but yeah, you've done amazingly. And like the chairs are so cute and
Mm.
all the bits and pieces, like the light fixture. And yeah, it's just going to be so, so beautiful. And so excited for you as well, because it's really, I think it's really brave and exciting because it's stepping into a space where you can say, actually, I'm ready for more. I'm ready to grow and I'm ready to expand, and just backing yourself. I think it's just awesome. And I think it's only going to do good things for you. Yeah.
I hope so. I really hope so. I expected to just feel excited, but I've been really shocked by how nervous, I guess it's made me. Like I felt just, yeah, the added like visibility. Yeah, I've been really shocked by all the emotions that I've gone through. And I felt really sad
Mm.
packing up my current space. Like it
Mm.
served me so well. And there's like a sofa bed in here. And so if I want a little sit down to scroll on my phone, it's nice and cozy, and having to then recreate that coziness in another space. It's exciting, but yeah, it's full on. And I think that being on a tight budget in one way is not ideal, but
Mm.
actually it has pushed me to be a bit more creative and really prioritize picking a few things that are really right rather than, getting a bit carried away.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes those boundaries, they can be really frustrating. But when you do get boundaries, I think you can end up being more creative or find solutions that you wouldn't otherwise. So sometimes, like you say, it can be a good thing. But yeah, you've done
Yeah.
incredibly to pull it together the way you have. And I'm glad that you went again for the paint. I think that was worth, because I do think
Yeah.
that the color wasn't.
Yeah, like I knew it was wrong, and Scott was there with me, and he looked at it, and he was just like, "It's a nice color," and I was just like, "Well, technically, I disagree with you there because I didn't think it was a nice color, but like more, even if it had been a good color, it wasn't the right color for my business." And so then when we repainted it, Scott just got on with it like he's a good egg, and then once it was done, he was just like, "Oh yeah, no, this feels like Rook Botanics now," and that's what I wanted.
Yeah, I'm so glad he could see that. And also, shout out to Scott. Thank you so, so much for helping Sarah get the right color and all your support for her. And that's pretty amazing to do that. Yay for
Yeah, a
partners that are
trooper.
so helpful. Hey.
Absolutely. I wouldn't have got to where I am without him, because I would say it sounds really dramatic, but the amount of time that goes into loading up the car over the last few years, I've probably spent more time loading the car by going up the 2 flights of stairs to get from the studio to the car. That's probably been more time consuming than all of the floristry I've done. Like it's just
Wow,
yeah,
really? Like,
and sometimes like the car, because we're in Glasgow, sometimes it's hard to get the car even on the same street, and so then that makes loading up even harder. And so yeah, I do feel I was getting to the point where I was getting more and more work in, and that all I could think of was just like I'm going to be living on the stairs.
gosh, wow. I didn't realize that's a huge effort to go through that for what's 5 or 6 years.
Yeah,
Wow, that's
yeah.
amazing. So you definitely a good move to find somewhere on the lower ground.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
I mean,
can.
I've got a whole shutter, so I can, not that I'm going to do this, but I can pretty much like reverse the car into the studio space now, which just feels like the height of luxury.
That's amazing. That's incredible.
Speaking of studio spaces, Keeley, what have you got up your sleeve?
Well, I'm sorry you have to hear this again, Sarah, because I've already shared so much with you. But I am really excited because I realized recently that one of the things that I would most love to do with my new floristry endeavor is to run workshops and to be able to have all kinds of different focuses within the workshops, but to run workshops and to bring people together into spaces that feel really inspiring and lovely, and people can walk away having made something with their hands and feel accomplished and have something that maybe they can gift to someone they love or keep for themselves. And as I was doing my research for this, I realized to hire a space, while it's not completely out of the question to go and hire a space, there are actually a few options around. I realized that I actually have a space in my own backyard, which my husband made for me so that I could have a dance space. And it's beautiful. He never does anything by house. He made it absolutely lovely. And there's even like a recessed fireplace where I can have like battery operated candles and fairy lights and things like that. So it's absolutely beautiful. And it was going to be a gorgeous dance space, but I realized it's just the right size where I could host a small workshop of maybe 8 people max. And I could make it feel the way that I want it to feel, and I wouldn't have to pay a hiring fee. So once I realized that was an option, when I tell you I lost sleep over it, listener, I am not lying to you. I was up until all hours of the night daydreaming about how I could make it beautiful and what could be possible. And I've already ordered ribbons and all kinds of things and beautiful papers and just things that are going to make the experiences really special. So I am really, I guess, giddy over the idea of having a space that I can call my own, and be able to actually have control over creating the atmosphere in the room and making it feel like somewhere when the moment people walk in, I want it to feel transportive and not just be a place that you go to learn some floral stuff. Like I want it to be a real experience. So I am all about decorating the studio at the moment. And by that, I mean, I've so far not done anything, but I've thought about it a lot and I've got lots of ideas, done lots of research.
It's so exciting, and you are incredible. Obviously, we've only met online, but you can create such magical spaces just in a digital space. And so I cannot wait to see what you can do with a physical space. Like, that sounds incredible. Also, I'm very jealous that Elliot can just like build stuff. Like, it's highlighted how me and Scott are not handy people. So that's incredible. I would love it if you took us along the way with you turning this space into your studio. That would be incredible.
That's it. Thank you. And that's really, really lovely of you to say. I do appreciate that. And I would love to bring people along for the journey. I think I might have to try and get my brave on and start sharing some of the process, because it could be really fun to share that and see where we end up. I always enjoy, that's exactly the kind of content that I love seeing from other people. So I should probably maybe share some of that as well. And yeah, he is incredibly, incredibly handy. Huge shout out to Elliot for all of the work that he does. I will say though, it does mean, and I'm not complaining, but it does mean that there are about 500 unfinished projects around the house and garden, because we are both so creative and so inspired that we just start things and then they don't get finished, or very rarely get finished, and then we're on to the next thing. And he's honestly amazing. He can do so much, but it does sometimes bug me a bit that I'm like, it's not finished. And then he'll
That's
go, do
funny.
you want to do this other thing? I'm like, no, I want to finish the other things that we've started. But yeah, he's made me a beautiful space. So I want to do something amazing with it.
That's incredible. And just to go back to the point about taking people along and documenting it, I'd intended to do that when I got my studio. And I was just like, yeah, it's going to be amazing, because there's a few people that I follow who also are like renovating and things like that. And I really love that content. Just a quick shout out, because I have been, oh my gosh, there's a creator that I follow on TikTok called Caroline McQuiston, I think her last name is. She has, I'll include her in the show notes. She has just bought a home on the Isle of Skye, and she is renovating it by herself. But she has like loads of friends and family supporting her through it. And I go onto TikTok every single day to specifically watch her content. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I can do this when I'm like sorting out my studio. But I think the first 3 weeks where I was just painting, it would have just been me crying at the screen.
Which is so real though.
Yeah,
Relatable.
but I don't think people would want to watch that. And so maybe I should make an effort today and actually go and film a little edit. Like I'll share in snippets on stories, but trying to actually do the project and document it, that is a lot of hard work. But
Yes, that's like two different brains.
we should both try and do it, and our listeners should keep us accountable.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I love that idea. And do try and share if you can, like because I absolutely love it. And when you like had those stories up recently about showing the process, and even though it was only like little snippets, it was still done so well. And you're so good at that. Like you're brilliant at, I mean, it's the marketer in you. Like you can't sort of ever
Yeah.
shut it off. But you're so good at that. So yeah, I think people would love to see more of it. I would.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Mm.
As I've been packing up the studio, it's made me realize just how many buckets of dried flowers that I have. And I never know how I feel about dried flowers. They're really useful in certain aspects, but I don't know if I'm now just like bogged down with them. So I don't know whether to run some dry flower workshops or whether to just give them away for free, or I don't know. What are your thoughts? Do you like a dried flower?
I have a complex relationship with dried flowers, I think. I don't know if you can see, but in my studio behind me, I hang flowers to dry them.
Mhm.
But because I've since learned they're near windows, they're losing their color. Like, so you're not meant to dry flowers
Ah,
next to sunlight because it saps the color.
yeah.
So the results haven't been amazing or what I was hoping for. I have a few bits of pieces here. These are straw flowers and they are really beautiful. So paper daisies and straw flowers, when they've dried, they are just stunning and they look like they were always meant to be like that. But
Mhm.
I think it's hard to get them quite beautiful. I think running a workshop with them, like an everlasting kind of wreath or a everlasting flower crown or something, could be really beautiful. But I don't know, they can be a bit like old fashioned as well.
Yeah.
So it's getting the right balance of whimsical and yeah, I don't know. I think there's a real art to it and you have to love it, I think
Yeah.
is my conclusion. The end by Keeley.
Yeah. I share similar thoughts, and the aesthetic that I am trying to bring alive in the new space. Oh, by the way, in my head and occasionally out loud, my new studio is called the Rookery because
Oh, I
my
like
my
that.
business is rook botanics. I absolutely love corvids, love rooks, and so it just feels like a rookery is just a noisy collection of like people gossiping, and so that is what I want for my space. Yeah, I just love the idea of coming together and chatting about flowers and things like that. And so I'm trying to lean into, I basically want it to look like your grandma's house if she's become a witch. That's the
Oh,
vibe.
that is such a vibe. I love that. Wow.
And so I do feel like there's a space for the dried flowers, and I might just, do you know what it is? It's because I look at them, even though all the flowers, the dried flowers that I have, they've been paid for in like previous workshops. Like I've bought them in for something and then the cost has been covered, but I still look at it as money. Like it to
Hmm.
just give them
Hmm.
away, it feels like I'm just giving away money. But I think what I need to allow myself is just to enjoy them. And maybe I should just do some installations in the studio with the dried flowers that can just last until the flowers disintegrate. I think the one thing that puts me off, well, other than the fact it feels like a waste of money, but the thing that puts me off is that there might be creepy crawlies. Like spiders could definitely move in. And I know that that's a very different thing to what Keeley experiences in Australia because these spiders aren't going to kill me, they're just going to creep me out. But yeah, just the idea of having like whether they'd move in. There was a florist that I used to freelance for quite a bit, and they had buckets of dried flowers, and like they looked nice, and so just kind of kept them. And we used to hear rustling every now and then, and there were mice living in them. And so that's also been in the back of my mind because like my studio is very much just like it's basically just a glorified garage. And
Oh.
so maybe rodents would move in. So that is like in the back of my mind. But I think it would be fine. But yeah, that's maybe been my hesitation. But I might as well use them.
Maybe you'll just end up with like a brambly hedge, but the rookery style. Like, these little rodents will move in and like start cooking apple pies in their little houses inside dried flowers. And you got to give them a chance.
That's exactly what could happen. Right, okay, problem solved. I'm going to be
Yeah,
making
done.
some
You're welcome.
installations.
I think installations would be incredible, and I don't think that's a waste of money. I mean, people pay good money to have the installations put in their
Yeah.
spaces, so I think it's a worthy use of those
Yes.
resources.
I will stop talking about dried flowers in a second, but I've got quite a few bags of dried flowers that my friend Hannah gave me last year because she used to live around the corner from me, but now she lives in Australia. And so she cleared out her flat with all the dried flowers, gave them to me, and I've not really done much with them. And there was a big bunch of pampas grass, which isn't normally my vibe, but I think in an installation with like a block of hydrangea could be really nice. And then that
Hmm.
would feel like, not to be really sad about this, but it'd feel like there was a little piece of Hannah in the studio as well, which would be very
Yeah,
nice.
that's so lovely. I think she'd love that.
So I'm aware that we've both been quite busy and doing exciting things, but I think it's a child, like I do just want to be playing with flowers and not painting walls and things like that. So which I know I have to do all these steps to be able to then get to the point where I get to play with all the flowers. What things have been inspiring you recently?
Well, other than the idea of having my own space, because that's definitely taken up a lot of my thoughts and a lot of my brain space lately. One of the specific things that I've been working on and that has been really inspiring to me is I'm going to run a Mother's Day workshop, which is my first ever workshop. And I've been planning like what we'll create and what I can share with them. So I'm really excited about the idea of sharing that with these people, which don't exist yet, or they do exist, but they just haven't signed up yet because I haven't told anyone. The other thing is that Elliot and I went away a few weeks ago to the coast, and it was just such a beautiful getaway. We took our two girls, our Whippet and our Greyhound, with us, and they had their first time at the beach, and we're running along like the biggest goofy ever, like just biggest goofy galumphy idiots, really. And they just loved it. And it was just so beautiful. And just being in that coastal air and the plants and the different types of environment that is was really beautiful and inspiring. And we went to this gorgeous cafe where they had an outdoor seating area, which was kind of covered, but kind of not. And it was also dog friendly. So you could take your dogs in that space. And like they had like a water bowl there for the dogs, and you could sit there and you could have your chai or whatever, and your dogs could sit with you, which was really nice. And in the corner of that was this beautiful like nasturtium bush. And I kind of couldn't stop looking at it. And I don't know if it was just because like everything else about the weekend was just so beautiful, or if it was the light and the way the light was falling, but I was a bit obsessed with the leaves, and I realized that the leaves of nasturtium look like they have like this little sparkle on them. And it
Mm.
looks like there's just this little white dot in the center of a nasturtium leaf actually it's not in the center, it's kind of like up the top, but it just, I don't know, it looks like they've just got a sparkle on them. And I just realized how much I loved them. And I never would have thought that I really was a big fan of nasturtium. Even when we recorded the episode, I was like, yeah, I can take them
Yeah.
or leave them. But they've really grown on me. And the leaves are really quite special. So I found that really, really lovely and really inspiring.
Oh, I love that. Oh, thank you for sharing that. Do you know what you should do? You should get some nasturtium leaves and make a bouquet with them, like a trailing bouquet.
Do you know what? That would actually be stunning. Like it would be like they literally look like they're sparkling. They are. And
Yeah.
actually, now that I'm thinking of it, in that episode, didn't you say that they are like one of the few plants that actually kind of glows in moonlight? Like they look like they flash, or there's some sort of phenomenon with them. That was nasturtium, wasn't it?
It was that they repel water.
No, that's the leaves, but the flower themselves
Oh,
appeared to flash in the moonlight.
that does ring a bell.
You don't
I have
remember.
the I have the worst memory.
You let it. I'm sure it was nasturtium. I'll have to double check that before
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, so they like flashing flowers and then like so illuminated and light, and then the leaves look like they have a sparkle. I'm like, I don't know why I never noticed that before, but it was really obvious to me there. And yeah, that weekend just really filled my heart up. I just drank lots of lemon ginger tea and put my
Mm.
feet in the sea, and it was just really lovely.
That's so nice. And I love that it was then just enhanced by nasturtiums. That's just
Yeah.
really special.
Yeah. I'll have to send you a picture.
Yeah, well, we'll share them. We'll share a picture on our Instagram,
Yeah.
because I'm sure lots of people would love to see them. Yeah, and you sharing that has just made me think that one of the things that has really inspired me recently, to the point where Scott spotted me doing it and I felt like a bit of an idiot, but we live on quite a long street and there's three big planters that were put there by the council, and I'm sure they've got like council branding on them and whatnot. but they were just utterly neglected. And there was a plant in there that died, and nothing was really done with it. And so they were just a bit of an eyesore. A few people have planted stuff there. I'm fairly sure I know who one of the people are because I've seen them tend to it. But someone has planted orange tulips and they are stunning. And so they just kind of popped up from nowhere, and I stopped to like take some pictures, and I kind of really gently looked at the petals and, was just stood around looking at them and didn't realize that Scott was behind me. And then he like popped up and he was just like, "You're a dafty." And it was just this bright pop of color. And there's not many because, like, there's not much space for them, but there's maybe like six or so in bloom right now. And it just made me so happy. And it's fascinating that it takes so little, like so few flowers to really inspire and like lift your mood. And now, like when I walk to the studio or, if I'm going out in the car, like I pass them and it's just like a little ray of sunshine. And flowers are just so special.
They are. That is so beautiful. And I love that it was just like a kind of like a stealth move, stealth planting.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
reminds me of that. Have you seen that guy on Instagram? And I should have mentioned him before, but he's going around driving around on a bicycle and like with like a seed shaker, and he just literally like shakes seeds over these like random spots in the middle of the road or random sidewalks,
Um,
and then they spring up with flowers. It's really pretty.
Oh, I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's share that as well in the show notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the idea of that. And there's a few spots around Glasgow South Side where I am that are unloved, and I have seen people do like some guerrilla gardening, but every now and then the council will come and just chop it all down, and it's just rude.
Why don't they believe it? They're making things more beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a patch of grass that someone had then planted, like loads of native flowers and grasses. And I think because people don't recognize what like native species are and what native grasses look like, I think it looks messy to people because we've just
Ah,
kind of got that disconnect of what it should look like. And so, yeah, there was a big patch of grass where I used to go and take Abby, and I used to throw treats in amongst all the wildflowers. And it was like mostly grasses that were there. And she would go and forage and she would love it. And there would just be so many insects. And I'd usually do this in the evening. This patch would just be full of incredible moths. And it was just beautiful. And then someone came along and chopped it all down. And then there was a sign. Someone has put up these signs saying, if your dog, this is going to be very long-winded, but it essentially says, if your dog poos here, we're not going to come and cut the grass. And I was just like, well, good. Like, I don't have a dog right now, but I'm going to find a dog, make it poo there. So then they don't cut it down because it was good for insects.
yeah.
I'm obviously not going to do that. But yeah, I am feeling really excited about spring, which I suppose is, well, I mean, the opposite of how you're feeling because you're going to be heading into winter. Is that right?
Yeah. It's autumn now, turning very cold.
It's starting to get warmer for us. I have ordered the most gorgeous spring flowers. I've got some spring workshops this weekend, and I've ordered in the most gorgeous narcissus, which are just one of my favourites. I've also ordered in, and I know they don't last, but they were quite cheap. And I just thought, as a little flourish, they're quite cute. I've ordered in some snowflakes, which my wholesaler has listed them as snowdrops. Like it has their proper name, which is, how would you pronounce that? Locojum? I don't know how you pronounce that. But then in brackets it says snowdrops, and they're not, they're snowflakes. But my wholesaler is Dutch, and then it's like translated into English. So it's probably just like a mistranslation. But they do
Mm.
look almost like snowdrops, but they aren't, and they're taller. But I've got a few of them kind of just because it was me just being self-indulgent. And I'll just say to people, look, you'll only get a couple of days out of these, but if you want to use them, just so you've got them for a day or two, they are very sweet. I've also got some really nice pink tulips coming that have a nice ruffle to them.
Oh, I
And
love the ruffled tulip. Love it.
yeah, I've got some lilac and then some gorgeous ranunculus. So,
Oh,
oh, yeah,
stunning.
I'm very excited. I love spring. I love the anticipation of it. Like, because I do like winter. I think winter can be really pretty in Scotland or like in the whole of UK. Winter can be really pretty. And I love the anticipation of spring. I love like seeing flowers pop up. And do you remember last year, it would have been around October, that I went to Haddon Hall and it was for the magic exhibition?
Yeah.
So I was down in Derbyshire maybe 2 weekends ago, and I went back to Haddon Hall, and it was the first weekend of the season that it was open. There's loads of little spring flowers popping out, and I went with one of my childhood best friends, and it was honestly just the most gorgeous day. It like rained every now and then, but we would just like pop in the hall or like in the house as it rained, and then when it stopped raining we'd go back out into the gardens, and they just had the most gorgeous flowers, and they had like a little wild patch, but also they clearly have a gardener who has excellent taste, because they had the most gorgeous hellebore. They looked like doubles, which I didn't know you could
Oh,
get as
mm,
hellebore.
mm.
Yeah, they were stunning. And then in fact they had some snowflakes like the ones that I've ordered, so that's quite nice. But they also had these flowers that looked like a daffodil. So they had the stem of a daffodil. And you know, like the papery brown little bit that kind of protects the neck of the daffodil. I don't know proper like botany of
I know the bit you
like,
mean though.
yeah. So it had that, but then the trumpet didn't look like a daffodil. It looked kind of like a daffodil, but it looked like a daffodil without the petals. And so I don't
Mm.
actually know what it is, whether it was a really niche variety. I've been meaning to find out, so I should do a little bit of research, but maybe I can
Can
share a
you
picture on stories and see what people say.
can you Google search it by like finding by photo? Or even there's like an app you can get where you scan a plant and it'll tell you what it is. Or you add the photo
Ooh.
to it and it'll tell you.
Okay, so I've done that. Just done that now. And I think it is a petticoat daffodil.
Oh, that's the cutest name. Petticoat daffodil.
Fairly sure it's that.
That sounds gorgeous. I'm gonna look it up.
It was very cute. I'll include the picture just in case it wasn't.
Oh, they're really sweet. They're
Yeah,
lovely.
yeah, they're really sweet. So it was nice to get to see Haddon in a different season. So for people who are in Glasgow or nearby, so I've got some workshops coming up in May. I'll be doing another flower arranging one, and there's spring floral headdresses, which I'm very much looking forward to. If you would like a ticket for one of them, you can head to my website, which is www.rookbotanics.com. There will also be a link in the show notes. Also, I've launched a new club that's called the Leftover Flower Club, and these are going to be more casual, more relaxed workshops where they're going to be a bit more last minute, like a bit more spontaneous, and they are basically going to be when I've ordered in too many flowers or bits that I've got left over from photo shoots or weddings or anything like that. I just often have a few flowers in the studio that don't have a home to go to, and so I'm going to start doing the Leftover Flower Club, where it's an hour-long workshop. You just pop by, grab some of the leftover flowers, make a cute bouquet, or just wrap them in some shop paper and then take them home. And so it's basically like picking your own bouquet, because I'm very conscious that I don't want to be offering bouquets. Like, that's not something I enjoy doing. But I love showing people how to pick their own flowers, how to style it in a vase. And so it just feels like a nice step towards that, just helping people have beautiful flowers in their own home. That's already launched. And if you want to come along to a workshop, the only way you can get a spot is by signing up to the email list. And so there's links for that on my website, and we can pop that in the show notes. And then I'm just doing all the things right now. I have got a few more one-to-ones coming up as well. So they're bespoke for each person. But if you have thought about wanting to become a florist and you want to take the next steps, then I have way more capacity now to do lots of one-to-ones in my new studio. So you can learn anything basically. Like, we have a chat before you come for your one-to-one to figure out what you really need for the next step in your floristry career. And you can come for a day, you can come for the whole week if I've got time. It's really flexible around your schedule. So yeah, there's a few things that I've got going on, and I'm excited for all of them.
It's amazing. Just a couple of things. They all sound incredible. I wish I was in Scotland or you were in Australia. You weren't
Yeah.
so far away because they all sound amazing. I'd love to do a spring head crown. That'd be
Yeah.
incredible. Mm.
Whenever we get to actually hang out in real life, we'll definitely do flower crowns, because that will be
Oh yeah,
amazing.
yes, I will. Very much look forward to that.
And you have a workshop coming soon, right?
So I have my Mother's Day workshop coming up in May, which is when we have our Mother's Day, first Sunday in May. And all the details for that and how to sign up are going to be on my new website, because I've just started a new website for my floristry business, which is thegreeneditstudio.com, and the link for that will be in the show notes. And it's just one page at the moment. I'm going to add to it later, but the details for the workshop will be there. And I also have a mailing list set up that if you want to hop on that and just find out what's happening, what's coming up, and just hear inspiring little floral related stories every now and then, that is the place to be. And if you have lots of ideas and you don't know what to start with or which one to act on next, I've created something called the Idea Catcher spreadsheet, and it should probably have been named the Idea Catcher and Chooser because it's much more about choosing your next focus rather than just catching all your ideas, but that's not a very catchy name. So it's the Idea Catcher spreadsheet, and that's completely free, and that is on my website. The link for that will be in the show notes, but it's not my floristry business website, it's my other website. So it's keeleyrees.com.
Amazing. I've had access to the spreadsheet, the Idea Catcher, and it is very good and it is very helpful. So you should all go and get that. If you would like to get in touch, we have a wonderful new website that Keeley has worked so hard on. So go have a little nosy at it anyway, because it's just beautiful. If you want to get in touch, you can send us an email, or if you want to, you can send us a voice note. So there's a section on our website. If you just head to the contact page, we'll include a link in the show notes. You can send us a 90-second long voice note. And if you have a lot to say, which is fine because I have a lot to say about most things, then you can just send us multiple voice notes and we can string them together. We would love it if you could send us some over. And there's a box to tick if you're happy to share it on the podcast, and then you can feature on one of our garden gossip episodes.
Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Come find us online on Instagram. We're at Flowers and Folklore Podcast. Our brand new website is flowersandfolklorepodcast.com. You can also share this episode with a friend, subscribe to the show, or leave us a review on Apple Podcast or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. Alternatively, you can do none of those things. That's totally fine as well. We're just so pleased that you listened to this episode.